From Larry Bird and Magic trash-talking each other like crazy to the Pistons making life hell for MJ, these are the best NBA rivalries of all time. And starting things off are Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. Without the legends like Wilt and Bill, the NBA wouldn't be what it is today. In 1956, when the NBA was only 10 years old, the Boston Celtics picked Bill Russell as the second overall pick in the draft. 3 years later, the Philadelphia Warriors picked Wilt Chamberlain, a god from the Harlem Globetrotters. And then their rivalry began. If you look at the numbers, it's clear Chamberlain's got the edge in this competition. Russell's way better than Chamberlain if you want to win on the court. Russell helped the Celtics win 11 titles, including numerous titles in a row. Chamberlain may have had more than twice as many points in his career, but Russell's won almost 6 times as many titles. So I think Bill got the last laugh when it comes to this competitive rivalry. Though, speaking of title holding, this next rivalry involves the two teams who won 5 of the last 8 finals.
He pokes it away. James up and under, throws it off the backboard. Oh, what a perfect pass to himself.
It's the Golden State Warriors versus Cleveland Cavaliers. These two will be remembered as the teams to watch in the NBA in the 2010s. LeBron James left the Heat because the team was past its prime and there was no guarantee that they'd win another championship. So he returned to the Cavs, and the rest was history. The two teams met for the first time in the NBA Finals in 2015, and Steph Curry won the championship to cap off his first year as MVP. The Warriors would use that momentum to rifle off an NBA record 73 wins the next season and make a return to the finals to play, you guessed it, the Cleveland Cavaliers. After the Cavs were down 3-1, LeBron James pulled a Thanos and brought them back to force a Game 7, which they won. Even though they didn't beat their record for regular season wins, the Warriors would beat the Cavaliers easily in the next 2 finals. But it wasn't as bad as the tension between these next 2 players. I'm talking about David Robinson and Shaquille O'Neal. The NBA knew it was in trouble when Shaquille O'Neal joined in 1992. Off the court, he was known for acting like a child, which was funny. Then there was the Admiral, David Robinson. Robinson was just as good as O'Neal, but he keeps to himself and doesn't talk much. After the two players said many mean things to each other off the court, a fight broke out that everyone couldn't stop talking about. The most obvious differences was in their personalities, but what Robinson did in 1994 took the fight to a whole new level. O'Neal had 2,345 points going into the last game of the season, while Robinson had 2,312 points. This was only O'Neal's second year playing in the NBA. In the last game of the season, the Admiral would score a career-high 71 points, passing O'Neal in scoring. While this rivalry was heated, this next one involved pure hatred. Yep, it's the Chicago Bulls versus the Detroit Pistons. Michael Jordan's reputation as the best basketball player didn't come easily. Even though Jordan dominated the league in the 1980s with high-scoring games and insane highlights, the Bulls never won any rings. And that's because the Detroit Pistons got in their way. The bad boys of the late 80s and early 90s claimed 2 titles. From 1988 to 1991, the Chicago Bulls and Detroit Pistons met in the playoffs 4 years in a row. The first 3 times they played, the Pistons won. And they played a rough style of basketball called Jordan rules, which put a lot of pressure on the defense and focused on Michael Jordan. In 1991, MJ got his own back on the Pistons by sweeping the series while averaging nearly 30 points and 7 assists per game.
From getting a little layup on the move around the Cartwright screen, off to Jordan. Boom, boom. Oh. Power slam. Scotty with some good movement, Jimmy.
Younger fans may not know this, but the rivalry between the Bulls and the Pistons is one of the best in the history of the NBA. Speaking of some old school beefs, I can't forget about this one. It's none other than Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. This rivalry was more than just 2 basketball legends who were destined to play against each other. The first time Bird and Magic played each other was in the 1979 NCAA Finals. Bird led the Cinderella story Indiana State State Sycamores to a perfect season and a trip to the NCAA Finals. They'd lose to a Michigan State team led by Magic Johnson that was much better. That wasn't the end of their story, though. Things would build up much more later. The next year, both players would join the NBA. Bird would win Rookie of the Year, and Magic would win a title and be named MVP of the Finals. The Lakers and the Celtics met 3 times in the Finals, and the Lakers won 2 of those series. People will remember the 1980s as the time of Bird and Magic, and with good reason. The two would end their rivalry on a high note by winning gold with the 1992 USA Olympic Dream Team as teammates and co-captains. It's not too much of an exaggeration to say that Magic and Bird are the reason why the NBA's so popular now. Though, since Larry Legend and Magic are the topics of discussion, I've got to mention this next one. I mean, the Lakers versus Celtics rivalry is just timeless at this point. Few sports rivalries have as much history as the one between Boston and the Lakers. They've been playing each other since the league started. 12 times these two teams have played in the NBA Finals. The most interesting thing about these meetings is how far apart they are. In the 1960s, they met in the finals 6 times. In the 1980s, 3 times. And since 2000, twice. The series would go to 7 games in 5 of those 12 series. The teams fought hard on the court, and the owners and general managers of the two teams often got into fights. Red Auerbach was the coach and general manager of the Celtics for a long time. He was known for having an attitude. He'd light his cigars early on the bench during the fourth quarter of games so that his team would win, and he'd taunt the Lakers all the time. Even though the Lakers weren't doing well right now, these two teams will definitely meet again in the finals at some point. Until then, I can only look forward to that day. Speaking of intense rivalries, I should mention this next one where the Lakers took the top spot away from another team. Los Angeles Lakers versus San Antonio Spurs. Before Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan, there was Iceman, George Gervin, and Magic. Many people didn't know this, but the Spurs went to the conference finals in back-to-back years. But Kareem and his young, smiling partner Magic beat them both times. In one of those years, they went 7 games with the Lakers, who were the champions then, but only lost by 1 point in Game 7. And things only got way more interesting from then on. This rivalry honestly had it all. From Nick Van Exel's game-winning shot in 1995,
the ball is tipped and it's saved. 3 seconds left. Here's Van Exel. This is for the win. He got it! He got it! What in the world is going on?
to Duncan sweeping the Lakers in 1999, to Shaq and the Lakers getting their revenge 2 years later with a sweep of their own, to Derek Fisher's insane game winner, it was simply amazing to witness.
They get it to Fisher. He scores! Derek Fisher scores at the buzzer!
We got to take a look at it, but I got to tell you live, it looked good.
You know, at the risk of being a shill.
But it's been overshadowed a lot because of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry. Hopefully, as time goes on, both teams can revive their rivalry and give fans some more memorable moments. That's all the biggest NBA rivalries of all time.